guidance and support. Lord, enrich the resource person with your knowledge so that he will use his potential fully, Lord. We also pray for all the participants, help them to make use of this webinar effectively. Finally, Lord, we pray for all the people who are supportive to conduct this webinar. Bless us, guide us. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. It's my great privilege to welcome you all for this webinar on cloud computing. It's my immense pleasure to thank the management of Francis Xavier Engineering College for providing all the support in conducting this webinar. Also, my immense pleasure to thank Chairman Francis Xavier Engineering College and the Managing Director for the fullest support in conducting this webinar. Also, my immense pleasure to thank Dr. K. Jayakumar, the General Manager for Development, for support, guidance, and to conduct this webinar. It's also my immense pleasure to thank our principal, Dr. V. Vail Murugan, for his guidance and support. Also, my immense pleasure to thank Professor P. Brinda, Head of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, for the successful conduct of all the webinar in our department. It's my immense pleasure to welcome all the participants for this webinar. It's also my immense pleasure to welcome our resource person, Mr. Selva Pandian. He's the Vice President, Cloud Practice, Demand Blue, USA. I welcome you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Sharon, and also thanks, Rajapriya, for the opportunity to share something. Can we start or?
Sir, let me introduce introduction about yourself, sir.
Okay, sure.
As Mr. Selva Pandian, sir, he did his mechanical engineering at Coimbatore Institute of Technology during the year 91 to 95. He worked for Ennore Foundries for a few months and moved to Shriram Group of Companies in 1996 as an executive trainee and moved to IT on completion of his training. Working for Plurality Systems Inc. from 2000. Consulted for a number of Fortune 500 companies such as Southern California Edison, Countrywide, First American Corporation, Allergan Pharmaceuticals. Part of the founding team of Demand Blue, a brand of Prelude system, launching the unique engagement model on-demand services for Salesforce in the services industry. Now over to Mr. Selva, sir.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and I thank everyone for the opportunity. It's glad to engage with the student community. So thank you all. So can we go ahead and start with the presentation, Sharon, or?
Okay, sir. You can start.
Okay. Yeah, you can call me by name. That's fine. Again, I know that the topic for today is cloud computing, right? I think cloud computing is a very broad topic. So I do have a presentation. I'm going to focus on the introduction of cloud computing. I have some pointers to share, and it's going to be more of a very interactive. I would like to have it as an interactive session. If you guys have any questions of anything we talk about, feel free to, I think, I'm not sure, you can send a message in the chat and or feel free to interfere and ask any questions, okay? So let me have the present. Able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Introduction, I think Sharon did a great job of introducing me, so thanks for that introduction. Okay, as I said, right, I wanted to talk to you about, because cloud computing is a very vast topic. So the way whenever, if it's a large topic, right, so we are going to stick to the basics in today's session. So when we talk about basics, I would like to have the topic in case of 5 Ws and an H, right? We always wanted to know what does it mean, why we need that, who started that, or who's part of doing that, when was it started, where does it happen, how does it happen, right? So all of these basic stuffs, if you try to, any topic, if you try to put it in this framework of the 5 Ws and an H, it's easy for you to understand and to remember things, right? So that's the way we look at it. So cloud computing, right? Today, anything and everything is revolving around cloud. So think about it. I came to US 19 years back, and to make a single call, a minute call, it used to cost like 54 rupees, okay, for making 1 minute call. Today, I'm able to talk to you, or we are all able to have a webinar session where it is pretty much we have an unlimited data plan, right? I don't have to shell out anything, and I'm able to talk to you. It is all because of the cloud computing capabilities. That's what it drives, right? So that is the underlying thing which is making it happen. So going by that, so what is cloud computing? So cloud computing is nothing but availability of computing resources on demand, right? Any type of computing resource. It could be storage, it could be processing, it could be database, it could be an application which is available on demand. That is the underlying thing for cloud computing. Okay, so today we are on this Google Meet, right? So it involves a lot of computing capabilities. There is a video streaming which is available on demand, which kind of depending on the number of users. Right now, if the number of users increases, it has to scale, right? It cannot just, so unless you have a cloud computing, if you have a fixed resources available, when more users are joining, it will not be able to scale, right? So that's why the ability to have on demand is very, very important. Okay. And today there are a lot of things which are happening, and that is all possible, like AI. We talk about artificial intelligence, right? So robots being powered, airplane being done remotely, cars driving, all of that need computing power, and those power have to be scalable on demand, because you really do not know what is the level of computing power, whether it's processing or storage or platform, whatever it is, you might need. That's the reason. That's why it is very, very important. Okay. That is a what of it. So the what is cloud computing? It is the availability of computing resources available on demand. It could be anything, any type of computing resource is what it is. Okay. Any questions on the what part of it? Okay. The next most important thing is the why, right? Why do we need cloud computing? And I think why is a very important question, particularly whether you are a student, you are working, you are at home, whether it's a family thing or it's a technical thing. Understanding the why is very, very important, because that kind of tells you the reasoning for anything, right? Why is something happening? That kind of explains everything for you, right? So in my why list, there are a number of why for cloud computing, but the most important thing I feel personally is accessibility. Okay, the cloud computing has made us as a level playing field. Okay, anybody and everybody have access to that cloud computing power. It is not just the powerhouses like a large company, people with the power. So just to maybe to give you why, what I mean by level playing field is, say, for example, you have the capability of having a small tea shop, okay? And as you are doing well, you are able to scale the shop to become what do you say, like become like a Saravana Bhavan, then become like a multi-story Saravana Bhavan. If it's all possible for a small shopkeeper, what is the power they have, right? They are able to scale their power based on what they really have. So if you think cloud computing is very similar like that, right? I can buy any amount of anything, right? Computing power, storage, database, application, anything for whatever level I need, as small as possible. Okay. Today, that is possible. Okay. So if you have a great idea with just few thousand rupees, you will be able to build a proof of concept. You don't need large servers. There was a large entry to barrier few years, like maybe 20 years back. If you have to have a computing, anything to do with computers, you need to have a lot of money. You need to have a data center, you need to buy some servers, you need to secure those servers, you need to make sure that there's a person to maintain those computing resources. All of that has to be there. And if you cannot make that kind of an investment, it was not possible, right? So there was an entry to barrier. Today, you see Ola, Uber, Airbnb, Lyft, any of these companies, they all started very small. They had a great idea. They were able to rent those computing resources. And when they were able to put together a proof of concept, try it out in a small location, when it became successful, then they were able to get investments based on that success. So they were able to, like WhatsApp, how did they start? They start with their own capabilities and they were able to scale, right? So all of that was possible, or it's all possible today because of the cloud computing. It is so very accessible for all of us to do anything. So if you had a great idea, you have all the resources at your fingertips to do it, okay? So that's why I feel that cloud computing has changed the entire dynamics with providing accessibility and providing you with the tool set and the framework to do anything and everything with very little financial resources. So you cannot say that, hey, there's an entry to barrier. If you're having an idea, anything to do with on the computer side, you can bring that idea and it's very accessible. Okay. And even for a small company, large company, it's all about what you wanted to do. And you can do it at the level you are interested. Okay. So that's why I mean accessibility. And I think that this is kind of very, very important because this has changed made it as a level playing field for everybody. Like how internet has made it, anybody who have an internet connection have access to information, right? Today, information is power and you have all of that available due to internet, and cloud computing made it accessible to anybody who wants to do something with computers. So you have a great idea. And today, more important is every company has to be a technology company, because that is the differentiator, right? Whether you run a retail store, you run a taxi business, you have a factory, you do anything and everything, you see what really differentiates is the technology they use differentiates from their competition. Okay. So accessibility, which is made, it is very, very accessible. So that's the number one point on the why. Agility, right? Agility is the ability for you to change quickly, right? We are on a very competitive scale. So I think why agility is important. We know this, right? Like pandemic, this pandemic suddenly dawned on us in March. Nobody would have thought that this scenario would have happened, but it all came suddenly. But how quickly people were able to manage this, right? I'm sure that it is very difficult to remotely learn, remotely work and all of it, but everybody adapted and changed quickly. And that was also, to a large extent, the computing capabilities which was available, which allowed everybody to scale, right? Zoom became synonym for remote call, right? So people were able to, your WhatsApp video calls, your Zoom video calls, your Google Meet video calls, the number of users increased tremendously, and the companies also leveraging whatever tools they wanted to leverage, they were able to do it because of this cloud computing. That's the agility part, which allows you to change. Guys, I think I'm kind of talking. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask. Because I'm on a full screen mode, I'm not able to see any chat thing. So Sharon or Rajapriya, if there are any questions on the chat, please interfere and ask, okay?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Participants, if you are having any questions, please ask.
Sure. Okay. The next is scalability, right? I think as we talked about it, I kind of touched upon that topic as well, is scaling, right? So see, what if cloud computing was not available, right? If I wanted to add more users, or if I need more power, I need to buy additional servers, right? those additional servers have to be purchased, and it requires a setup. It requires a process in which you have to do that, right? And we are not, that doesn't provide the agility you wanted. So how can I scale quickly, right? What does scalability mean? Scalability is the ability for you to increase your computing capability or reduce your computing capability, so that based on the demand you have, right? So you have Ola, and if there is a peak hour and Ola wants the ability to fulfill the need of their consumers, to make sure that it is able to respond to the consumer need quickly, show the navigation of all the vehicles which are traveling quickly, it needs more power at that point of time. And when it's 12 o'clock, late in the night, it doesn't need so much of computing. It has to shut down all of it, all right? So that it doesn't have to pay for all the computing power. So if you have to buy all of it, then it becomes it's not cost effective. And with cloud computing, instead of you having your own physical hardware, you are able to use it on demand. You can scale up and down as you need, right? That the scalability is what that is. Reliability, right? When you deal with cloud computing, you are able to work with cloud computing is very, very reliable, because you have multiple failback mechanism, right? So there is parallel, there is always a, what do I say? There are backups available by the providers of the cloud computing resources, and we can take advantage of that, right? So that is very, very reliable. In addition to, or if it's a physical thing, you have to maintain all those backup servers and maintain the business continuity plan. All of it has to be done as an individual companies. But with cloud computing, the providers of cloud computing are going to take care of all of that aspect for us. So it becomes very, very easy. And that is the kind of the, what we say is, it's a facade. So you don't have to know the complexity behind the scenes. You know that it is reliable, okay? And security. Right. Today we know that there's security is a big problem, right? Like every day we notice that some organization is getting hacked, okay? And so it is very, very important to make sure that when you use computing resources, it is highly secure, right? So what are your alternatives for against cloud computing? It's going to have your own physical infrastructure, and you maintain the security. And as security aspects constantly change, how do you keep track of all of it, right? It becomes a big challenge. And when you start using cloud computing, those resource providers, they constantly keep up to date. You don't have to worry about the security aspect of it. Your service providers are going to take care of it. Okay. That is the kind of the why part of it. That's my top 5 points. Any questions?
Participants, if you are having any doubt, please ask.
Sure. Cool.
Yes.
Cool. Moving on to the next. So where? Okay. So where is cloud computing, right? So there I'm trying to put it in the framework of W. I think it's appropriate, but the idea is there are 3 ways in which cloud computing is made available. One is the public cloud computing, which is available in the public cloud, which is obviously the internet, right? So pretty much all public service or publicly accessible cloud, which is what most of it are, right? So whatever we are constantly using, any service we use in the infrastructure on the public facing side is all the public cloud. Okay. Private. There are still a lot of organizations which have to comply to compliance, right? There is a regulatory compliance which you have to do. You have to look at privacy compliance. Say, for example, European Union have a thing called GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation. So what does it mean? It says that European citizens' data cannot go out of European Union. Okay, and similarly, US has something very similar. And India is also, I'm sure, putting together something in similar lines to take care of, right? Like I think even the recent episode with China, and we are banning those apps. That's a different reason, but we are trying to protect our data, right? The actual reasoning is as such that our government is kind of feeling that the data is going out of the country, right? They wanted to do it. So it can still be, it could be, when we say private, it could be private within the country or within an organization, right? So if, say, for example, Tata can have a public cloud, which has all its public data, but Tata might also have a private cloud, which has all its they might be doing some secret projects, and they are very concerned about the compliance, and they're also concerned about this data might getting exposed, right? So they don't want to put it in the public cloud, they can keep it in the private cloud. So that's the private cloud. And hybrid is a combination of public and private. So there are a number of companies which they might have a private cloud, they have a public cloud, and they connect it. So that's what it means by an hybrid. Okay. So we can actually get a lot detail into this because it gets into the networking related topic of how exactly you configure your private cloud, public cloud, what are the firewall, how do you open firewall, how do you connect between a private cloud and public cloud and still maintain security. All of this is the next level of deeper topic, but I'm trying to stay on the basics and trying to show at this level. So these are three different types of how cloud computing is being exposed to us. Okay, public, private, and hybrid. Any questions there? Okay. Who and when? Okay. So I'm trying to cover two W's. Again, see, there are a lot of people who are directly related to cloud computing, okay? And obviously, internet and WWW, World Wide Web, which was, it got introduced in 1991 and internet in 1975. They are the kind of foundational blocks for anything on the internet, right? But I still feel that if I have to pin on three important companies, right? So the WHOs are three important companies which are responsible for cloud computing. My personal take are these are three different companies who have made cloud computing mainstream. Okay, VMware, that's the number one because they introduced. I wouldn't say they invented virtualization, but they made virtualization popular. So what is virtualization, right? That's this entire ability for you to virtualization is making your physical hardware virtually available through software, right? Partitioning your physical hardware into software components, right? Or as software which is exposed. So you might have a single server and you can create virtual instances of multiple servers on a single large server, right? This concept of not only the computing power, the storage, the networking, all these virtualization allowed you to on demand increase or reduce your need. On demand change your computing, how you kind of access the computing resources. Okay, that's the very important thing. The virtualization by VMware made it possible. That's when people started embracing cloud more, because till that point of time, if you have to scale, if you wanted to say, for example, you have this Amazon deal day, right? Once a year, they have that specific day. Flipkart has their own the day, whatever the day is. If you see that, they say that when they open that particular day, there is the difficulty for people to even buy something, but they are able to scale to whatever level, even in spite of all that scaling. Similarly, when you have a World Cup finals match, when there's a live stream, you got to have all those computing power. And how are you able to scale up and scale down? It's because you have all these physical resources, but how do you allocate those resources to place where there is required and reduce from where it's not required? It was all possible through the virtualization, which is VMware is very, very important at that point of time, which is for the mainstream use of cloud computing. Next is Salesforce. They are one of the leading CRM application companies, a SaaS company, software as a service company. They were launched in '99. They made an application, CRM application, customer relationship management application on the cloud, okay, and made it available. That is one of the first enterprise application which was available on the cloud through a multi-tenant, which means that multiple customers try to access the same database, but it's all partitioned. Nobody can see each other's data and still use it. So there was a lot of pushback when they launched this company because people were worried about security. Is my data going to be secure? What if somebody else looks at all my sales data? All of that. But they became successful. Okay. And that was another reason why software as a service became mainstream. Today, every company tries to have their application, including the popular Word, Excel, all of them are available on the cloud on demand. Otherwise, you have to pay a license fee, install it on your server, on your laptop, right? But today it's available to use it only on the cloud, right? So they were one of the important reasons. And lastly, Amazon, right? It's not last, but they're the important guys who made infrastructure as a service. So they today they are the market leaders with more than 60% or more market share on infrastructure as a service and platform as a service. So they are the important players who made actually the cloud computing mainstream. And yeah.
Participants, please kindly mute.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. So again, these are three companies who are, in my opinion, were responsible for mainstream use of cloud computing, and their products made it possible to use it. So Amazon Web Services launched in 2002. Today, they are the market leaders in that space, providing infrastructure as a service and platform as a service. Okay. And moving on. How was cloud computing delivered? Okay. So there are three different aspects of it. Okay. One is infrastructure as a service. So what do we mean by the infrastructure as a service? Is all the your computing power, your storage, your network, all of this is all the infrastructure which is available as a service, right? Anything which says as a service means that it is available on demand, right? That's what that is. Your platform as a service, right? Your platform capabilities like a database, messaging, queuing, all the capabilities a platform would require, making it available as a service is platform as a service. And software as a service. Today we are using Google Meet, or it could be Zoom, or it could be your Microsoft Office or Google Apps. Any of the software application, I talked about Salesforce, CRM, there are any number of applications, financial accounting applications, all those applications which are available on demand on the cloud, where you are able to buy one license and use it, or by click of a button, use 1,000 users. It's the same for all of these, right? Whether it's an infrastructure as a service, I can require a single server with one core, with whatever CPU I need, with 50 MB storage, I can create an infrastructure. And I wanted to scale it to multiple cores or multiple servers. I can just do it all programmatically or with the click of a button. I don't need a physical infrastructure at all to be there, right? It's all possible from an application to increase your infrastructure need as per your infrastructure requirement, increase it or decrease it based on what you really need. Similarly for the platform, similarly for the software. Okay. So this is kind of a diagram which kind of explains to you the three different parts: the infrastructure as a service, IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. So having the infrastructure service is the I mentioned about it, and all of these are available to your through your network routers and switches, access from a laptop, your phone, if you have your own servers, your own desktops, all of that, right? So there are so many use cases and functionality which are available to all of us through as a service model. Okay. Anything here?
Will continue, sir.
Yeah. I think these are kind of the basic things I kind of put together, and I think that's the last slide. So I tried to cover the 5 W's and an how aspect of it. And as I said, right, it's a larger topic. If you guys wanted to delve into anything specific, I am open to some Q&As. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have, anything related to technology, it's cloud computing or beyond.
Sir, very good morning, sir. Your session was very useful. Can you please elaborate about the security features they are adapting in cloud, sir?
Okay. So again, security by itself is right, like it's a larger aspect of it, right? So for example, you have to look at transport layer, TLS, secure socket layer, SSL, HTTPS. So there are a number of things being implemented, and there are innovations which are happening at the security, at the network layer, at the application layer, right? At all these layers. So what I would say is, what it allows as an end users from a security aspect of it, we don't have to worry about what happens. So the providers as such are making sure that the environment is available, is securely available. So there are constant developments which are happening on the security aspect of it. But if you really wanted to know into all the security details going on, I may not have all the answers specifically. But what I would say is, when it comes to cloud computing, when we start using those computing powers, we don't have to worry about the security aspect of it, because the computing providers are going to take care of it. Okay, so we are assured that it is all taken care by them. Okay, and there are a lot of things, right? There are a lot of vulnerabilities which are constantly being uncovered, and constantly there is a huge team which is taking care of fixing those vulnerabilities as well. Sorry, were you looking for anything very specific?
I've got the answer, sir. Sir, I just want to have one more question, sir. If the students want to
feel free to call me by name, okay?
Yeah, it is a traditional way in India, sir, so we do it.
Okay.
Sir, it is like if the students wants to pursue cloud computing as their career, what would you suggest, sir? What are the different softwares they can continue, they can pursue, so that they can become a specialist in the cloud, sir? For example, IBM provides a Bluemix. Same like that. Which are the softwares they can pursue, sir?
Correct. So you see, IBM provides Bluemix, Microsoft provides Azure, and Amazon provides AWS. Okay, and the advantage of Salesforce provides something called Heroku or Salesforce.com itself. Okay. All of these, right? So again, first is you have to pick where you wanted to specialize on. So there is infrastructure as a service, you have platform as a service, or an software application like software SaaS, software as a service. So if you're looking at software, so I predominantly work on the software side of things. Okay, that's where my specialty is in. So that's the reason I was not able to get into the details of the security aspect of it. So my specialty is on the software side. Okay. So if you're looking at software applications, Microsoft Azure provides also the software aspect of it through Dynamic CRM. There is which has all the software applications. Or if it's a platform, and software Salesforce provides through Salesforce.com. Okay, and IBM has a number of software application providers. Okay, if you're looking at platform as a service, you have Amazon Web Services, Google Apps, and then also Google Cloud includes that, Microsoft Azure as that, IBM Bluemix as that as well. If you're looking at infrastructure, Amazon, Google, Microsoft Azure, IBM, these are all large players. And the biggest advantage for the students is everybody has a free account, okay? And they provide you with minimum computing or more than enough computing power from a learning perspective. So if you just wanted to focus on infrastructure, you can go pick a trial account from any of them. Like it's Microsoft Azure, Amazon, Google, or IBM. All of them provide you with a free account, developer account, or a platform account, whatever it is, which is available for you guys. I think that there are a lot of learning resources also. Everybody provide you with a learning platform. Microsoft has something called as Microsoft Learn. Salesforce has something called as Trailhead. Amazon Web Service have their own training thing. So when you log in, all these resources are available for you for free. They don't charge you for those learning. I'm not sure from an IBM perspective. Google has its own Google Help information as well. But personally, based on whatever I have looked into, the Salesforce Trailhead, I can share those details to Rajapriya by IR email with all those details. But that resources are free and they're very good. Microsoft Learn is also very good content if you wanted to learn about any of their topics. And it also enables gamification. So as you keep finishing a topic, they ask a bunch of questions, you answer, they put credit points. So you will be able to, as you move along, as you learn, you are able to confirm that what you have learned is right. And they also provide you with working tutorials, not just theoretical learning. So as you go through the learning process, there are some applications you can build, or they allow you to do something, and they validate that too. It's not that you just do it, it's not isolated, right? It's all connected. So they will allow you to work on something. They'll provide you with a problem statement. You work on the problem. Once you finish the problem, they will validate that what you did is right. If you don't do it right, they ask you to do it again. So there's a good amount of resources available for the students to take benefit of. And I can share those resources.
Aravind, Aravind, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for that information. I have one more question, sir.
Sure.
Since you have vast experience in the software domain, I was just wish to pose this question to you. One of the aspects is like, I think during the late 90s, Java language came into the field, and still we have the Java language in the field. And now we have the Python language also coming up. How do you find how do you find the scope of Java language in the future, sir?
See, Java, Java is not going to go away anytime soon. Okay, because most of your web applications are still powered by JavaScript, right? It's not the same as Java thing, but and there are a number of other applications being constantly built on Java. So Java is not going to go away anytime soon. Okay, so there is a lot of future in the Java, and the Python is getting hugely popular on the analytics side, right? With handling huge volumes of data and all of it. So Python has its own niche in its own specialty where it is operated. So that's where it is. So in addition, there are other languages as well, which are getting very popular on the Microsoft side. You have something called as C#, and I think Google has something too. I forgot the language, but and Salesforce has something called as Apex, which is again, a lot of these guys are, if you know Java, it's very easy for you to understand the C#. It's very easy for you to understand the Apex, which is a Salesforce language. It's all easy. So C, C++, Java, these are all core languages, right? And also a piece of advice from my thing, right? Any language, you have to be very good at one language, okay? And it is very, very easy for you to learn other languages, okay? The reason is because it's all, end of the day, it's all about the constructs and the functions, right? So if you're able to, when there's a problem statement, if you know that I'm able to do it in Java this way, you have to see that, okay, I use this class, I use these functions. Okay, what is the equivalent class in this programming language? You just search for it, you'll find it, right? So if you're good at one programming language, it's easy for you to move and learn any other programming language with ease, okay? I started my career with Fox Pro. In my college, I did Fortran, Pascal, and Basic in school. But in career, I started with Fox Pro, okay? Even today, when I try to map some program, I work on Apex and C# as a programming language. I don't code right now, but again, I look at and I still look at code and provide logic and all of it. I always try to map it on how would I have done it in Fox Pro. And I try to do that mapping in my head. It doesn't obviously know for you, but you will always know, right? It happens subconsciously in your mind that you'll try to do the mapping of the language you know, and you'll be able to solve it.
Sir, I have one more question, sir.
Sure, feel free.
Sir, out of your experience, I mean, what are the, for some 4 areas in which the students can concentrate to be successful in their software career, sir?
Okay. Right. I think from obviously, right, one thing is having a very good foundational programming language, right? Having a good knowledge of one of the programming languages. It could be anything, right? Have a solid experience in that, okay? More than that, I think that right now, right, the way the world is changing, right, everything is changing very fast-paced, right? I think in 5-10 years, you are going to have AI trying to do a lot of things. So curiosity, right? I think that non-technical aspect of it will play a very important role, okay? And the relationship aspect of it, right? How well you are able to work together, okay? Understanding the human aspect of it will play a big role in the future, is my own take. In addition to having the software programming language and being curious, right? I think that one of the important things, understanding why is very, very important, okay? So you have to curiously, for anything you are seeing, how does it work? Why is it happening, right? Having that why question and understanding the requirement will be very, very important, okay? So from a software career perspective, I would say that, hey, foundationally, be very good at some language, okay? And when you start writing programs, always try to look at non-functional aspect of it, right? So people always get things done quickly, right? You will write a program which works, okay? But how is it going to be maintained, right? Is it easy to maintain? The solution I did, is it easy for somebody else to come and maintain that application? Is it scalable, right? We talked about how cloud computing allows you to scale up and down and all of it, right? Is your application scalable? So tomorrow, if they wanted to add a new functionality, will my application scale? Will it work? Those are kind of important aspects, non-functional thing, and asking questions in your mind when you write your code. Those are kind of important attributes, okay, aspect from that perspective. Okay, so software application development, yeah, and again there are a number of people should again when we hire, we do hire for our company. We have an office in Siruseri. What we look at is learnability, right? Because as we see that things change quickly, so is this person quickly learnable, right? Today we wanted him to know Salesforce. Tomorrow we wanted to, our company, there's a new project which comes with the dynamic CRM. Can that person quickly learn dynamic CRM? But then we have a project in Python. So how quickly a person adapts and learns and moves fast. That's what is going to be very, very important. So that's the reason I said, right, be solid in one language, then it becomes very, very easy to navigate, and be prepared to learn and agile, right? Like whatever the cloud computing capabilities I talked about, those are all the capabilities we got to have as individuals as well.
Sir, one more question, sir.
Sure.
Sir, yeah.
I think I know that so the sir is making me uncomfortable. I've not been used to this sir for quite some time. So,
okay, okay, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's like, yeah, I'll call us Selva, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's like NASSCOM has told that in the days to come, artificial intelligence, cyber security, and also image processing, all these technologies will play a very key role in the days to come. So how do you see that, sir? I mean, security, artificial intelligence, image processing, and the other technologies, they are going to play a big role in the days to come. How do you see that, sir?
Okay. So definitely there's no doubt about AI's role, right? So I think I kind of mentioned, right, because there is a big role, AI will play a very big role, okay? And with AI, and I'm sure that if you really look at it, AI has a very large opportunity, okay? Because there's a, and how is it even AI possible? Because AI is possible because the power, the computing power, which is required to do all these artificial intelligent activities with the data which is available, okay, it is tremendous thing, okay, and every company or every other thing we are currently using, there is some level of some component of AI in play right now in all the applications we use, okay. So it is going to play a huge role. In addition to that, I would also include AI, cybersecurity, analytics, okay. And security also plays as people start leveraging AI, it is also very, very important that AI is not being it is being intruded by any kind of an attack, right? Say, for example, in the US, you have vehicles like Tesla, which is being driven by using computers, right? It is, you don't need a person to drive the car. If there is going to be a cyber security attack, okay, and if a person is able to control the car, you think of it getting in the hands of somebody who doesn't have a good intent, right? There will be an entire chaos in the infrastructure, in the roads, right? You will have a number of accidents, human loss, okay? And everywhere it is important. Similarly, in other aspects, when you look at AI, is also the AI is being built by people, right? So we have to start also looking at the bias AI might have, okay, in all the functions where you are trying to do, right? So if you are going to have AI in looking at identifying a terrorist versus identifying a criminal, so how is the AI being used? So another aspect of it is also quality testing those AI functionality, right? is also will play a huge role, is what I feel, right? On the AI space is the AI systems, and also testing those. AI is being built based on the test data, right? So you have a training data, the training data, the AI uses the training data to model itself. And once it's modeled, then you start implementing the AI to use this modeling to make some predictions. And when those predictions are not wrong, so you have a resources to manually validate those predictions, and the systems implement the actual AI implementations. And when there's a feedback loop, whenever there are issues to that, you make some corrections to your training data set, it happens. So how do we pick the right training data becomes an important role in the AI system. So I think that is another thing which will within the AI. And in addition, what you didn't feel is also the analytics part of it, right? Data analytics, right? I do not know. The statistics says that 90% of the data we have, the total data, was created in the last 2 years. So which means that the amount of data we are capturing is growing at a rapid pace. Okay. And to manage all of the data and make sense out of it and provide analytics and predictions on top of it will be a huge thing. And the AI relies on all this data, right? So data scientists will be another aspect of it as well.
Sir, there is one question in the chat box, sir, by one Mr. Sujit Tadadkar. He has asked, how can we develop cloud-based applications to run on serverless?
Okay. So see, serverless architecture, right? So the way it works is you are building a function. Say, for example, you want to do a calculation. So simple interest rate calculation, right? Or it could be any calculation, complex calculation or whatnot. The idea is when you have to do this computing power, you just use the computing power. You're not basically the behind the scenes, there is definitely a computing power. So the way the serverless architecture works is when this functions, you build this function, and when you call that function, those functions are added to in memory to the computing power. It uses the computations are happening. Once it happened, all the computing resources are all done, and it's being pushed away. So there are serverless architecture is being available through all these major platforms, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, all of them provide, and they have free student, or not only student, everybody can have a free account in all these tools, and you should be able to create those applications. Okay. So serverless architecture is again, these are different ways how companies kind of try to reduce their cost of using these resources.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. And this is a final question, sir, to you.
Don't worry. Yeah.
And it is like we are so proud of you, and it was an awesome session. You're the son of the soil, and we're so glad about your success, reaching from here to going to USA and being a vice president in one of a great company. And what's the message you want to give to the student community as well as the teaching community here in India, sir?
So I just wanted from a student's perspective, I wanted them to be curious, right? I think be curious about anything you learn, because having a good understanding of what you learn is very, very important. Okay, so just be curious and about what you are learning, and pick the lane, right? There are so many things which is happening. So pick where your interests are and just chase your dream. That's from a student community. I think from a teaching community, again, so there are a lot of things which are changing constantly. So I think that as teachers, we have to be learners as well, right? So learning never stops. Learning is continuous. Okay, so that's something you constantly learn. So I also want to encourage the teachers to continuously learn and try to keep up to date with the changing technology landscape, and provide the transfer that learning to the student community.
Sir, that was an awesome. That was an awesome question, sir. And I think in nutshell we can put it in two words. One is you talked about curiosity, and another one is learnability. And we are so happy that the audience of this webinar would have got benefited. And thank you so much. I think now the moderators will take care of the sessions.
Okay. Thanks a lot. So I hope that again I had just pointers to talk about at a high level as an introduction to cloud computing. This is a deeper topic. So hope I was able to sell some knowledge, impart something. Hopefully you learned at least a couple of things from this session. That's all. I'll be happy that you're able to. And again, my details are there. If you have anything, any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to help.
Yeah. Once again, thank you so much, sir. And if you visit Francis Xavier Engineering College, if you want to come to India, we welcome you to our college, and we want to have a very close and wonderful relationship with you through Rajapriya ma'am, sir.
Sure. I'm happy to do that. Thank you.
Yeah. We'll have the vote of thanks.
It's my immense pleasure to take this opportunity to offer vote of thanks. I want to thank Lord Almighty for helping us to conduct this webinar. It's my immense pleasure to thank our eminent resource person, Mr. Selva Pandian, sir, for spending his valuable time in his busy schedule. Thank you, sir. I also
thank you very much.
I also thank all the participants of this webinar. Hope you have increased your knowledge. More of interactive session was going on. It was very much helpful, sir. Finally, I thank the management and the HOD ma'am and all the faculties of Francis Xavier Engineering College for their support. Thank you one and all. Participants, kindly fill the feedback form which is displayed in the chat box.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful presentation, sir.
Yeah. Thanks to everyone. Thanks for the opportunity, and glad that I was able to share something. So.
And thank you so much, Selva Pandian, sir. It was a wonderful session. We had a wonderful interaction, and we seek your cooperation and collaboration in the days to come. When you come to India, you can please visit our college, sir.
Sure, I'll definitely try to do that. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Participants, kindly fill the feedback form.
Thank you, Rajapriya ma'am. Thank you, Sharon ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.